आज के लेक्चर में हम एडवांस्ड क्वांटम मैकेनिक्स की सेक्शन बी की शुरुआत करेंगे। ये आपके सिलेबस के अनुसार यूनिट 4 है और इस यूनिट की स्टडी करने से पहले हमें कुछ एक चीज़ों की जो आप प्रीवियस क्लास में पढ़ चुके हैं उसको रिवाइज करने की आवश्यकता होगी, बिकॉज इन दिस लेक्चर यू विल यूज लैग्रांज इक्वेशन, क्लासिकल लैग्रांज फील्ड थ्योरी एसेट्रा। तो जो फर्स्ट टॉपिक है इस यूनिट का दैट इज फील्ड्स, और फील्ड्स में जाने से पहले मैं जनरलाइज्ड कोऑर्डिनेट्स के बारे में एक बार आपको दोबारा से रिवाइज कराना चाहूँगा। एक्चुअली जब आप किसी भी पार्टिकल को कार्टेशियन कोऑर्डिनेट में डिस्क्राइब करते हैं तो आपको मिनिमम 3 कोऑर्डिनेट्स की आवश्यकता होती है। द कोऑर्डिनेट्स आर एक्स, वाई एंड जेड। इफ यू वांट टू डिस्क्राइब 2 particles, then obviously you need at least 6 coordinates. Similarly, if you want to describe a problem of n particles, then you need 3 n coordinates or a 3-dimensional space. This 3-dimensional space is known as the configuration space, and the particle in this space is known as the system point. So these n coordinates can be reduced by a single coordinate if you represent x, y, z by qj, and j may take value from 1 to n. And if you are talking about the 3-dimensional space, then qj have 3 values: q1 equal to x, q2 equal to y, and q3 equal to z. So such type of space is known as the configuration space, and this single coordinate qj is known as the generalized coordinate. So what should be the condition for selecting generalized coordinates? So there are 3 conditions which must be satisfied by the generalized coordinate. Number 1, their value must determine the configuration of the system. It means जो सिस्टम का कॉन्फ़िगरेशन है वो उन जनरलाइज्ड कोऑर्डिनेट्स के द्वारा पूरी तरह से डिस्क्राइब हो जाना चाहिए। फॉर एग्जाम्पल, इफ यू वांट टू डिस्क्राइब अ 3-dimensional motion, then you need 3 coordinates x, y and z, and these x, y and z must be able to give each and every information about the motion of the system. So you can say that the configuration of the system must be determined by the generalized coordinates. Number 2, each and every generalized coordinate must vary arbitrarily and independently to each other. And third one is there is no uniqueness in the choice of these coordinates. So what is the meaning of this? If, for example, in Cartesian coordinates, you choose q1 equal to x and q2 equal to y, then in other coordinate system, for example, in polar coordinate system, q1 you can take square root of x square plus z square, that is equivalent to r, and q2 that is equal to theta, and that is tan inverse y over x. So there is no uniqueness in the choice. One can choose these coordinates x, y, etc., and other one can choose r and theta for the same problem. So in brief, you can say that generalized coordinates are the minimum possible number of variables which describe the configuration of a system. And then you must know about the Hamilton's principle, which you already studied in MSc previous. According to the Hamilton's principle, this integral w equal to t1 to t2 t minus v dt should be extremum, and where t is the kinetic energy of the mechanical system and it is a function of coordinates and their derivative. As you know, it is kinetic energy. This depends on the velocity, so it is also a function of the derivative of generalized coordinate, whereas v is the potential energy and it is function of coordinates only. So according to the Hamilton principles, if you take this the derivative of w, means del w, it should be 0. Now we will discuss about the scalar and vector fields. This you has already know. The classical field is a region which represents the presence of particle in that region. Field is what? Field is a region in which you have some particle, and by virtue of the presence of this particle, another particle experience a force, and the value of the field depends on the space and time coordinates. There are two types of classical fields. If a field whose magnitude changes with respect to the position coordinates and time only, then such type of fields are known as the scalar fields. While when both magnitude and the direction of the field changes point to point in the field, then such type of field is known as the vector field. In simple manner, scalar fields depends only on the magnitudes, while the vector fields also depend on the direction of the observation point. So this is about the scalar and vector field. Now, what is classical Lagrangian field theory? As I discussed already, that the Hamilton principles delta t minus v dt, it is equal to 0, and t is the function of the position coordinates and its derivative, while v is only the function of the position coordinates. So you can write t is the function of qj comma qj dot, and vj minus vj is the function of qj, and if you take the partial derivative, then you can write this del t over del qj plus del t over del qj dot minus del v over del qj, and this integration whole at the summation of j, it is equal to 0. So if you separate the space part of derivative and this qj dot part independently, then you can write this equation as summation del t over del qj minus del v over del qj dt plus t1 to t2 summation j del t over del qj dot del qj dot this is equal to 0. And if you write separately these integrations, then this term will appear. If you solve this second term by integration by parts, then the solution of this integration will be like this. And as you know, at the extremum of the time del qj equal to 0, means there is no variation in the coordinates at the end points. So this term del qj from t1 to t2 will be equal to 0, and so you have the second term you have this term 0 and you have only this term. So if you put the value of the second term in this equation, then you will get t1 to t2 summation j del t over del qj minus del v over del qj minus d over dt del t over del qj dot del qj dt. This is equal to 0. Del qj are independent to each other because we know that the variation in the generalized coordinate doesn't depend on each other. So the coefficient of every del qj should be equal to 0. It means this term will be equal to 0. So you can write d over dt del t over del qj dot minus del over del qj t minus v. This is equal to 0. And we already know that the potential energy is not the function of del qj dot, so you can subtract v from this term. So now you have this term d over dt del t minus v del qj dot minus del over del qj t minus v. This is equal to 0, and t minus v is nothing but it is known as the Lagrangian L. So you can write L at the place of t minus v, then this equation become d over dt del L over del qj dot minus del L over del qj. This is equal to 0, and this equation is known as the classical Lagrange equation of motion, and this equation is the second order differential equation in terms of time as independent variable. Thank you.